I want to share with you maybe 7 secrets of personal branding that have worked really well for me. So the first one is really treating your personal brand as a professional brand, the same way Apple treats, Apple, right? The same way that Bill Gates would treat Microsoft, right? Or Bill Gates treats the Bill Gates brand. Those are all brands. And just as a brand has a certain line of things that they'll talk about, us as entrepreneurs, as public figures, as whatever we want to brand ourselves, we should also define the topics that we're going to talk about in our content, in our social networks, and, well, maybe not at home with our friends, that doesn't matter. But every time we put something out there, we should know, okay, this is what my brand will be known for, this is what I'm going to talk about. Now, what happens to a lot of personal brands out there? Suddenly you're following them on Twitter or you're following them on Facebook because they talk about a certain thing that you're interested in, and then one day they talk about religion or politics and you get turned off and you're like, oh, what happened to this guy? Or they start ranting, complaining, and they don't get that that's hurting their brand positioning because people did not follow them for that reason. And I've seen that happen a lot. There are people that I've met at events, really successful people, in the hundreds of millions, and I follow them because, oh wow, I want to learn about your supplement business or about your health business. And then I follow them on Facebook and they start talking about all sorts of things and it gets really confusing. And you're like, okay, maybe I should not friend you on Facebook and just read your blog or something, right? So it's important that we try to do this, but still be authentic. Just have a little filter when we put something on social media. So for example, for me, I talk about these things. You very rarely ever will see me talk about politics or things that I don't know about or that I'm not interested in, right? I love technology, so I will write about the last iPhone or the newest iPad or whatever, or the Galaxy phone that explodes. I will talk about social media, which means, oh, Twitter just launched this new feature, or Instagram now has Instagram Live and all of this stuff. I talk about lifestyle because I travel, right? I talk about travel. I'm actually thinking about starting a travel blog. I talk about health as well, healthy lifestyle. I talk about music because I'm very passionate about it, and of course, about marketing. You'll rarely see me talk about other stuff, other than, well, maybe some important personal events, like I'm getting married or I bought a new house, and those things are part of you being authentic. But they don't go that far off from your topics that you defined. Congruence is really important. Again, if this is what I'm about, I should be congruent across all platforms. If you have a blog, it's about comedy, and then your YouTube channel is about drama, and then your Facebook account is about politics, and people want to follow you because they're interested in what you're doing, you will confuse them. And we're like, okay, what is this person about, right? So you need to be congruent. For example, if you go to my Instagram account, which I'll show you in detail later, you'll see my posts are pretty congruent. I have a few posts about things that I'm passionate about, like chocolate, like that video over there about chocolate, travel, lifestyle, and really just some photos about who I am and what I'm doing, what I'm up to, right? If you go to my Twitter account, it's very similar, the stuff that I talk about, the people that I engage with, and I don't start fighting with people or complaining or whining. Some people do. Now you have to make people curious about your life. So then this is another really powerful thing about Instagram, tags. Facebook tried to have tags, didn't work. But on Instagram, it's all about making it to the top posts of a category. If you look at this, top posts, those are all posts that got over 1,000, 2,000 likes sometimes. So I made it to the top posts for the hashtag Tony Robbins. Do you think that gets a lot of traffic? Do you think online business might get a lot of traffic? Yes, and I made it that, how do you do the like? Oh, there it is. So here, I made it, right, to the top posts for online business, over here for Tony Robbins. And there are a bunch of other people, like that's Tony Robbins on television. Some of these posts are from Tony's Instagram account, and I'm right next to it. So that's powerful. Instagram stories, okay? I'm getting close to 1,000 views per post, okay? So if you understand how Instagram stories work, that's also very, very powerful, getting that many people watching what you're doing on a daily basis. The more you share, the more people will see you. And Instagram will also reward you by putting your story in front of people who are not following you yet, under the top posts. So that's good. When you make it there, that's when you go viral. Secret number 2, you have to live and breathe your personal brand, okay? It's not acting a part. You're not somebody on video and somebody else off video. You're not somebody at the networking events and somebody else at home. It's not a part, it's not a performance. It has to be who you really are. And most people that I meet at events who have seen my videos or read my emails or something, they meet me, they say, I'm impressed because you're exactly the same as you are on your video or your emails or everything else. And they said a lot of people, or most people, are not like that. I meet them and they either look completely different or they act completely different. Why? Because on video they put on a costume somehow and they pretend to be something they're not, or they're reading a script. And then when they meet you, when you meet them, it's just not authentic. So this is important. Number 3, be visible and accessible. Now, you guys, some of you maybe have seen, I've interviewed Gary Vaynerchuk, Grant Cardone, like really big people. They know this. Okay, why do you think they are successful? Because they know this. I email Gary Vaynerchuk 1 out of 5 times he replies to me, but I think because he knows me. But he openly says he checks his emails, hundreds of emails a day, and he tries to reply to everybody himself and his mentors, or I don't think he has mentors, but he must have advisors or business partners telling that he's crazy for doing that, that your time is so valuable. Why are you replying to people's emails? Because he understands how important this is for his personal brand, being accessible and being visible. Grant Cardone, same thing. He says the biggest problem of any entrepreneur or any business is obscurity, people not seeing you, being invisible. Okay, this guy is on Facebook Live, Instagram Live, Snapchat, 24 hours a day, every day, 3 times a day. I don't know how he does it, and he does it because you see him in front of the camera. It's not a team member or anything like that, because he understands how important it is to be visible to the audience, to his audience. Okay. Number 4, invest in yourself, because if you don't, why would anyone else? Okay? Why would anybody pay you money if you are not putting money into yourself, into making yourself more valuable? And the same applies to loving yourself and everything that you hear. It's true. Okay? A lot of people think that, I've read a couple of books, now I can go and charge for my services. Like, it takes a little more investment in you before you can actually do that. And for example, these people, this was a mastermind I did in Miami. These people came because they saw that I invest in myself. They saw that everything that I put into myself, I am going to give to them as well. All right? So before you do that, before you put together your own events, think about how much are you putting into yourself first that people will be willing to pay to come see you. Okay? Secret number 5, you have to network the right way. Focus on the other person's need. So give before you ask. People ask me, how did you get the interview with Gary Vaynerchuk? Did you email somebody on his team? Did you harass him on social media? Well, yes, I did all of those things, but that's not all I did. I saw on his website, when he was launching his new book last year, about a year ago actually, he had a section on his website where he was bartering with people. Like, if you buy this many books, I'll give you this. If you buy 1,000 books, I'll have a meeting with you for an hour. If you buy 5,000 books, I'll keynote your event and all this stuff. And I thought, okay, 5,000, that's a lot, I cannot do that. But one of the options was buy 50 books and get 5 minutes with me on FaceTime or on the phone. And I thought, what if I offered him to buy a little more than 50, but in exchange, if I can do a Skype interview with him. And he replied and he said, let's do it. So I offered him to buy 75 books and give them away to my followers in exchange of a Skype interview for 10 minutes, which we did, and it went really, really cool, really well. And that is a marketing asset that I can use over and over and over again. Okay. When people see, oh wow, you interviewed Gary Vaynerchuk, like, what did you do? People get curious. Who is this girl? Why, how did she get that? Okay. What else did I do? Before I asked him for that, I went to meet him. So this photo here, this was before the interview at Traffic and Conversion Summit. I saw that he was speaking. I've been following him for years. I saw he was speaking there. I always wanted to go to that event. Okay, it's time I do it. And then what else did I do? Oh, I'll show you later what else I did in the next secret. Secret number 6, use leverage. This is a newspaper. By the way, my hair was terrible back then. You've seen this? I don't know what I was thinking with my haircut. This is from 2010. I was in a local newspaper in Chile. Okay, I was interviewed about Foursquare. Does anybody still use Foursquare? Before Facebook had check-in, before all the check-in madness, Foursquare was like the Snapchat back then. It came out, everybody copied them. They couldn't buy them, they copied them. So Facebook had check-in, Twitter had check-in, everybody could check in everywhere. So, but this is before that happened. And I've been an avid social media user since 2008, and I made a name for myself in Chile at the beginning, before you knew me. And so a girl from a newspaper, she contacted me and she said, well, can you give us like your impression of Foursquare? How does it work? Can I interview you? And this is a full newspaper page with me. I had no idea they were going to do this. They interviewed a few other people, right, here and there, but they put me in the center of the ad. So I still leverage this, because this is, not everybody is on a newspaper unless they paid for it. I didn't pay for it, right? I still leverage the fact that I was on BBC, I was on CNN, even though it's CNN Chile, but it's still CNN. And the BBC from the UK, they called me for a radio interview. I still leverage that. Why? Because they saw me when there was the earthquake in Chile, they saw me tweeting 24/7. I tweeted like 500 times a day, just keeping the world up to date with what was going on in Chile with the earthquake, which it was a big earthquake. So they called me and they interviewed me about it. I also got a phone call from an Australian radio, all of this just for tweeting all the time. Okay? Same with CNN. So I still use that. Then 2010, again, the super old, but this was the first speaking event I did in Canada. Okay? I still use this as leverage. I didn't go to Canada because they didn't have the funds, but it was like a live stream interview. And it was my first experience. Again, how did I get this? Because I was tweeting all day and they noticed and they wanted somebody who understood the Chilean, Latin American social media movement, so they invited me to speak. I still use that screenshot, okay? And secret number 7, you have to know your craft and your industry inside and out, which means you need to keep yourself up to date with what's going on. Like if I'm telling people I love social media and I consider myself an expert and they come to me and ask me something and oh, I didn't know that about that new feature, then that kills my credibility because I'm supposed to know about all those new features in Facebook and Snapchat and Instagram and all this stuff. So for you, the same thing. If you want to consider yourself the expert, or let's say if you want others to consider you the expert, then you have to fill in the shoes. I don't know how you say that. But you need to know it inside and out.